The other day, I randomly hopped on Netflix, and while scrolling through the recommended titles, I found an anime series called Captain Laserhawk: A Blood Dragon Remix. And if the title of the anime and my video title didn't give it away, this anime takes a lot of material and elements from Ubisoft's video games, throws it all into one batshit insane story, with the anime being sanctioned by Ubisoft themselves, as the anime uses characters that we haven't seen in years and brings them all together into one story. I didn't really know what to expect from this anime, considering the fact that it only has 6 episodes, so there wasn't going to be much room for developing characters and telling a story, but it managed to do a really good job with the limited episodes it had. I thought that the main concept was pretty interesting, as the anime follows Dolph Laserhawk, as we are introduced to him right in the middle of his story, as him and his lover Alex fight against a corrupt organization known as Eden. As while Eden have brought prosperity to the land, it is also one of conformity, where if you don't follow Eden's beliefs, you are outcasted and vilified, which you can see in the subtle ways they force people to watch their program or pay a fine, essentially creating a fascist society, with the face of their company being none other than Rayman, which I thought was hilarious that they turned a family-friendly character into a cocaine-snorting fascist. And the fact that Ubisoft were okay with this makes it even funnier. The story has plenty of twists, like right off the bat, Laserhawk's lover Alex betrays him all for money in order to afford to go through with his plan to defeat Eden, which results in Laserhawk getting captured and meeting up with the rest of the cast of the anime, which I all found pretty entertaining. Jade was a really entertaining character, and she plays as a really nice contrast to Laserhawk with their conflicting personalities, as one is super upbeat and the other is mellow and edgy. Then there's Paige, who is apparently Jade's uncle, but not really, and is also a hybrid, which is a race that routinely gets mistreated throughout the anime. There's also Bullfrog, who is easily the world's biggest Assassin's Creed fan and manages to make Assassin's Creed look like a fun game, and can somehow make bubbles that see into the future. I didn't really get that part. There's also some boxer guy who gets his head exploded basically instantly, which is pretty tough. And this team is under the command of Warden, with their first assignment being to steal some artifact from Pagan Min. It was pretty cool to see Pagan Min in this anime, with the clear goal of Laserhawk getting revenge on Alex. I was at least a little interested in where the anime would go. And during their first assignment, there are some pretty funny moments that I really liked, like when Jade had to romance a guard, and it ends up turning into a full-on dating sim. I really like that the anime continuously utilizes different genres of games and incorporates that into the anime. Even earlier on, when Laserhawk was fighting the Power Rangers, it was done in the style of a retro 90s arcade game. While the anime does still have normal animation and action sequences that I think were really incredible, the amount of pop culture references, not just to Ubisoft games, but all types of games in this anime, alongside how smoothly they are integrated into the anime, makes it one of the most refreshing aspects of Laserhawk, and will really have you watching just to see what reference they make next. I expected this anime to go pretty normally, where everyone gets along and becomes friends, but after everyone ends up getting captured, Jade gets killed by Pagan Min. This really shocked me. I didn't expect the anime to kill off one of its main characters, even if the length is really short, and this really changed my opinion of this anime, as it only gets more and more brutal from here on out, as Pagan Min would get his just desserts almost immediately at the hands of Paige, which I found to be very satisfying, because I actually enjoyed Jade despite the fact that she wasn't in the anime for that long. And with the full focus now on Alex, with his ultimate goal to cause mass destruction and build a society out of the ashes, it really feels like this anime is heading towards its climax, which is crazy to think about considering we're only halfway. And despite how short of a runtime this anime is, it did a really good job in this regard. Being able to build up the characters in such a short amount of time is impressive, but it does still suffer from awkward pacing, as for the most part this anime moves at a fast pace, so when it does eventually slow down, it feels a bit odd, but despite the rough pacing at times, it's still a really good anime. Later, we finally learn how Alex plans to cause mass destruction, but it's already too late, as he uses VR headsets to make people think that they're being attacked by aliens from Planet X, which also just happens to be the rabbits for some godforsaken reason. So in a desperate attempt to stop this, the cast head towards the radio towers to shut down the signals broadcasting the alien illusions. And this leads into the best action sequence and most emotional moment of this anime all in once, with Bullfrog fighting against 3 elite enemies, and while at first it looks like he's going to lose, he absolutely turns up and starts beating the ever-living shit out of these guys in some of the most brutal ways. The fight was by far the best action that this anime had, and the solid animation really complemented it well and made the fight a blast to watch. much, with the emotional moment coming soon afterwards as Laserhawk confronts Alex, and in his quest for revenge kills him and destroys the radio tower, stopping the signal to the VR headsets. I found this to be one of the most heart-wrenching moments of the anime, as Alex sacrificed the perfect life he could have had with Laserhawk to fight for his beliefs. And because of Alex's actions, it leads to a big divide between hybrids and humans, as throughout the anime you get to see the awful treatment that hybrids have experienced, with them never really standing up for themselves until now. And this leads to innocent people getting caught in the crossfire of a war that was bound to happen sooner or later, with the soundtrack perfectly complementing this scene and enhancing the moment overall, especially when Paige sacrificed himself to protect the hybrids. This was a heartbreaking scene and was not something I expected when going into this anime, especially with its short runtime, but it did a great job with the limited time it had. But at this point, while I enjoyed the anime, I really didn't know where it would go next, considering Laserhawk had gotten his revenge and almost everyone from the team was dead. But I really enjoyed where the anime went next, as it chooses to focus more on Raymond's character. And while at first I expected him to be nothing more than a random character who appears occasionally throughout the anime, he actually ended up being an integral character to the anime and ended up being my favorite character by the end of the first season. His character transformation and development was some of the most extreme I have ever seen, as after being kicked off his own show, he stops being the kind, kid-friendly Raymond, and after learning the truth of what he represents, he becomes much more aggressive as he seeks revenge on the leaders of Eden for manipulating him into pushing their agendas. He also changes his name to Ramon to reflect that he's basically entering sicko mode, which was a very over-the-top moment that I really enjoyed. When we do eventually meet back up with Laserhawk, both him and the Warden are trapped in the same confinement from the start of the anime, and I was really confused why these characters are all of a sudden pixelated and in real life characters for some reason. It really felt like the director was on something when coming up with this scene. And it's during their imprisonment that we learn that Warden's real name is Sarah Fisher. And if that last name sounds familiar, it's because her father is the legendary soldier Sam Fisher, who for some reason has no legs in this anime. But don't let that deceive you, this man will still fuck your shit up. I really enjoyed this reveal and think it did a great job of including all of Ubisoft's video games into a story cohesively without it feeling forced or unnatural, which I think is one of the most impressive aspects of this anime as a whole. The story takes a turn when we learn that they aren't in a maximum security prison, but they're actually in VR, with Laserhawk being sent to relax and chill with all of his dead friends, while Sarah suffers in agony as penance for sending all of DefSec to prison. And while I think that she definitely deserved her punishment to some extent, she was only a kid, and I really think she had some good character development and ended up being a much nicer character, which is all thrown out the window as after gaining the trust of Holloway, she basically instantly betrays him when she reveals that she's basically a cyborg and starts attacking him. This was something that I was absolutely not expecting. I thought it was going to be some sort of sappy moment when she changes her ways, but no, I got the exact opposite. She never really changed at all, implanting Laserhawk with a virus and leaving him to deal with Eden's entire army, which was a pretty badass sequence that for a character who was rather mellow, captured his outpour of emotion really well. I found that the anime wrapped up the story really well, as Ramon is able to save Bullfrog from being executed. And the story itself ends on a nice cliffhanger that has me very interested in the future of this anime. While this anime is no masterpiece, I found it to be a surprisingly entertaining story. I really enjoyed how the anime was able to take Ubisoft assets and mix them all into an anime, and create its own unique narrative out of it. And even with its reduced episodes, it manages to do a decent job telling its story, with the story being rushed at points. I really do think that the anime could have benefited from some more episodes to flesh out the characters more, but the anime did the best it could with the limited episodes given, and I can't wait to see what happens in the next season. Thanks everyone for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.